There is a moment after a woman cheats where her entire psychology shifts, not because of the man she betrayed, but because of the hidden consequences she never prepared herself to face. She thinks she can control the situation. She thinks she can manage her emotions. She thinks she can cheat, cover it up, and then return to normal life as if nothing happened. But female psychology never allows her to escape the aftermath so easily. And the single biggest mistake women make after cheating is believing the damage stays outside of them, when in reality, it begins inside. Most women cheat from emotion, not impulse. They cheat because they feel unseen, unappreciated, disconnected, or drawn to validation they haven't felt in a long time. In the moment, the rush feels powerful. The attention feels intoxicating. She convinces herself she is reclaiming something she lost. But once the moment fades, she is left with a quiet truth she can't outrun. Nothing she sought outside actually healed what was hurting inside. Instead, she created a deeper wound that now lives with her. Her biggest mistake is thinking the man she cheated with will fill the emptiness that led her into that decision. She expects comfort, reassurance, or emotional bonding. But what she finds instead is the terrifying realization that the affair was never built on anything real. It was built on fantasy, escape, and emotional projection. It was never meant to carry the weight of her real life. And once she sees that, regret begins creeping in slowly, then painfully, until it becomes impossible to ignore. Another mistake she makes is assuming her partner won't notice the emotional shift inside her. She tries to perform normalcy. She laughs, she talks, she interacts like before, believing she can hold the mask in place. But her behavior tells the truth long before her words ever do. Her patience drops. Her tone shifts. Her guilt turns into irritability. Her affection becomes inconsistent. And every one of those changes reveals more than she intends. Cheating changes a woman emotionally, even when she denies it. But the biggest internal mistake is believing she can detach from the man she betrayed. Women value emotional connection, and once they cross the boundary of betrayal, their emotional identity fractures. She becomes two versions of herself, the woman she wants to appear like, and the woman she now secretly is. Holding these two identities at once becomes psychologically exhausting. And the weight of that burden shows up in places she didn't expect. Her mood, her sleep, her appetite, her ability to show love, her ability to trust herself. She tells herself she can compartmentalize. But no human can compartmentalize guilt, fear, and emotional conflict forever. The longer she hides it, the heavier it becomes. And the heavier it becomes, the more her behavior slowly exposes her truth. One of the greatest miscalculations women make after cheating is believing the relationship will stay the same. She imagines she can just patch the emotional hole with intimacy or affection and hope her partner feels reassured. But relationships don't deteriorate from one big moment. They deteriorate from the thousands of small shifts that follow that moment. Her inconsistency, her emotional distance, her frustration, her anxiety, all of it begins to erode the foundation she once stood on. She doesn't realize that cheating doesn't only break trust. It breaks the psychological bond that made the relationship feel safe. And even if she hides the truth, her partner senses the shift long before he understands it. A man can't explain it, but he feels when her energy no longer matches her words. He feels when her smile is no longer rooted in affection. He feels when her presence isn't fully with him. That intuition is not paranoia. It is emotional intelligence responding to a disruption she caused. The next mistake she makes is assuming the affair partner sees her the same way her partner does. She expects closeness, loyalty, emotional connection, forgetting that the affair partner has no real investment in her future, her history, or her well-being. Most affair partners enjoy the fantasy, not the responsibility. When the secrecy fades and reality appears, the dynamic falls apart. Women often feel discarded by the very man they risked everything for. And that rejection cuts deeper than she admits. She also believes she can restore the relationship without restoring honesty. Women underestimate how much emotional truth matters to them. When she hides what she did, she has to hide parts of herself that used to be open. Secrets create emotional distance. Distance creates resentment. Resentment creates disconnection. And disconnection becomes the silent destroyer of everything she once valued. She thinks she's protecting her partner from pain, but what she's really doing is protecting herself from accountability. But the most significant mistake, the one that destroys her peace, is believing the guilt will fade on its own. Guilt doesn't disappear. It transforms. It turns into anger at herself, then anger at her partner, then frustration toward the relationship. She begins to blame the man she cheated on for the emotions she now carries. She rewrites the story in her mind to justify what she did, because facing the truth feels too heavy. This psychological rewriting is a defense mechanism, but it also becomes the reason she grows emotionally detached. She thinks distancing herself will protect her heart, but distancing herself is the very thing that reveals her secret. A woman emotionally invested always leans toward the relationship. A woman who cheated leans away, even when she tries not to. She becomes quieter, less expressive, less affectionate, because internally, she's lost alignment with the version of herself she used to be. Her heart knows what she did, and her mind constantly fights to balance the guilt. Another mistake is believing the relationship can continue without healing the root problem. Cheating is rarely about the other man. It's about the emotional void she ignored, the dissatisfaction she buried, the communication she avoided, the loneliness she didn't address, the lack of boundaries she allowed. And unless she confronts those issues, she repeats the same emotional cycles again, either with the same man or with someone new. Female psychology shows that women internalize betrayal differently than men. Women don't detach, they carry. They don't forget, they replay. They don't move on, they quietly break down inside. And because of that, many women who cheat end up hurting themselves more deeply than the man they betrayed. But the deepest mistake she makes is thinking she hasn't changed. Cheating alters a woman's emotional chemistry. She loses self-trust. She loses emotional clarity. She loses the sense of innocence that once protected her heart. Even if she hides it beautifully, she still feels it. The guilt becomes a shadow she walks with, a silent reminder of a moment she cannot reverse. And here is the hardest truth. Women think cheating creates freedom, but it creates psychological imprisonment. They think they're escaping emotional discomfort, but they create a much heavier burden. They think they're choosing happiness, but they end up losing peace. Most women don't fully grasp the consequences until much later, when the excitement fades, when the fantasy dissolves, when the guilt grows louder, and when the relationship begins to collapse under the pressure of her silence. The biggest mistake isn't the cheating itself, it's believing she can cheat and stay the same person after. Cheating rewrites her emotional identity. It creates an inner conflict that never fully disappears. And even if she hides the truth from everyone else, she cannot hide the truth from herself. A woman who cheats doesn't just risk losing the man she betrayed. She risks losing the version of herself she'll never get back.